When Ephraim spake trembling, he exalted himself in Israel, but when he offended in Baal, he died. Throughout the book of Hosea, there is a focus on the sins of Ephraim. His is a powerfully pointed and inclusive warning. When Ephraim was humble, when his spirit bowed in reverent consciousness of the blessings which were received from the Lord, Ephraim was considered the creme de la creme in Israel. Descendants of Joseph, the first son of Rachel and Jacob, have an admirable forebear in that patient, faithful, brilliant man whose sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, were included among the sons of Jacob, and with Jacob's own sons received a patriarchal blessing from their grandfather, also known as Israel. But Hosea warns, it doesn't really matter who your forefather is if you choose to do evil. Centuries later, John the Baptist also warned those spiritually haughty who prided themselves on their pedigrees, "And think not to say within yourselves, we have Abraham to our father. For I say unto you that God is able of these stones to raise up children unto Abraham. And the axe is laid to the root of the trees. Therefore every tree which bringeth forth not good fruit is hewn down and cast into the fire." The scriptures blast descendants of Judah, Joseph, or his son Ephraim alike. No credit is given for the quality of one's pedigree. Each individual and group will be held personally accountable for whom or what they worship, how earnestly they lived, and how they treated others. In the latter days, we in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, like the sons and grandsons of ancient Israel, have the opportunity to receive a patriarchal blessing. In the scriptures, we see this bestowing of patriarchal blessings among the families of the ancient patriarchs. Isaac's fraught blessing of his sons Esau and Jacob had long-lasting implications for their lives. Jacob blesses Ephraim and Manasseh in Genesis 48:14 and his other sons in Genesis 49. Lehi leaves a potent, poignant blessing upon the children of Laman, Lemuel, Ishmael, and finally Samuel in 2 Nephi 4:3-11. Every latter-day recipient of a patriarchal blessing can learn many things. Among many insights is important information pertaining to our lineage. I received my blessing at the end of the last semester of college. A beloved friend, Esther, also a convert to the restored gospel, drove up with me from New Haven, Connecticut to Agawam, Massachusetts, where we met for the first time Clyde Sumption. After a brief conversation, we proceeded to his little office. There, he turned on a cassette tape recorder and proceeded to give me a most extraordinary blessing. Many of the promises I received have already come to pass. In the course of the blessing, among other fascinating insights into my life and future, I learned I was principally descended from the tribe of Judah, and many blessings promised to Judah would be my inheritance if I was faithful. My late husband, who also joined the church in college, did not receive his patriarchal blessing until we had been married in the temple, settled in Denver, and had at least 3 or 4 of our dozen children. He learned that he was most significantly descended from the tribe of Ephraim. Both of us were delighted and excited to learn about our lineage. We were admonished to study the blessings and promises made to our ancestors. In these chapters, we also learn of the warnings they received and the weaknesses to which they succumbed. I dare say we, their spiritual if not literal seed, remain vulnerable to the same temptations and misalignment of loyalty. What are the corrupting tendencies Hosea railed against? What practices did Hosea warn Ephraim and the other tribes represented in Israel would prove to be their undoing? Worshipping the works of one's own hands, which could mean any of a wide assortment of false gods, was and remains a perpetual temptation. Forgetting the Lord's help, which may have blessed us with well-being and even wealth, is another ever-present danger. The sad thing is, the consequences of trusting false gods or thinking we have only ourselves to thank for our well-being will only be felt over time, perhaps over the course of an entire lifetime. The Lord, Hosea advises, won't zap us for these transgressions. The punishments are not even necessarily from the Lord. The punishments are rather the direct result of trusting in gods that do not have the power to redeem or save us. Hosea states, "Yet I am the Lord thy God, from the land of Egypt, and thou shalt know no other God but me, for there is no Savior besides me." And the forceful similes of Hosea disarm the readers. They were filled, and their hearts were exalted. Therefore they have forgotten me. Therefore I will be unto them as a lion, as a leopard by the way will I observe them. I will meet them as a bear that is bereaved of her whelps, and I will rend the caul of their heart. I love this reference to the caul of their hearts. A caul protects a baby as it makes its way down the birth canal into the light of day. This image of the Lord tearing off the protection that shields us from knowing and recognizing his presence and power is raw and relevant. O Israel, thou hast destroyed thyself, but in me is thine help. In verse 13, the trials Israel will confront are again compared to the pains of a woman in labor. But Israel is admonished not to linger longer in the pains of labor, rather accept the redemptive power of the Lord to overcome all challenges, even death. I will ransom them from the power of the grave. I will redeem them from death. The brilliant metaphors and similes in Hosea feel as fresh as last week's news headlines. The image of the Lord watching and waiting like a tiger or jaguar stalking its prey, and then striking in fury like a mother bear protecting her cub, remind me of a recent story I read. The implication is, don't get too comfortable because you haven't felt the repercussions of choices inconsistent with your implied or professed faith. The Lord is much more aware of you than you are of him. The coupling of chapters 13 and 14 remind me of Joseph Smith's words from the Lord in the D&C. Reprove betimes with sharpness, but then show forth more love, lest your charge believe you esteem him not. When Ephraim repents, the Lord promises, I will heal their backsliding. I will love them freely, for my anger is turned away from him. What a glorious love-infused message of mercy is manifest in this last chapter of Hosea. No doubt can remain that for all his fury and harsh reprimands, the Lord will redeem and restore and reach out to Ephraim in devotion as he will to Judah. Please read these chapters yourself. There is no way a retelling could do them justice.